Bigotry can be mean, yes, and it usually is when bigots think they can get away with it. But it's vital to recognize that being mean is not the essence of bigotry. Bigotry can be hateful, yes, but specifically, bigotry is hate that poses a political threat to the target group. The fundamental problem with TERFs is not that they're mean, it's that they're politically reactionary. They want to reverse the progress of trans liberation. So there's real political consequences to bigotry. It's not just a matter of being mean. Polite bigotry can be just as dangerous. A lot of people have a hard time noticing this kind of bigotry, and I think one reason for that is that our common understanding of bigotry is very narrow. People think of bigotry as like judging a group instead of an individual, which is of course a horrible thing to do. I don't care for the English. They're sick people. Or people think of bigotry as hate, something inhuman and monstrous. No, they have their own internal logic of victimization and self-righteousness. So when you reduce bigotry to a caricature of pure hatred, you obscure that bigotry is a deeply human problem. You know, sometimes people criticize me for empathizing with bigots, but I believe that understanding bigots is the best defense against becoming one yourself. Because when you dehumanize the villains, you become unable to recognize the villain within. How is she though? The idea that bigotry is simply hate, I call the Westboro Baptist Church theory of bigotry. It's the idea that bigots are people who outright say, "We hate you, God hates you," and we're all marching around with signs about how much we hate you, like the bad guys in that Taylor Swift video. Shade never made anybody less gay. This isn't shade, Taylor. Shade is J.K. Rowling telling trans people, sleep with any consenting adult who will have you. Bigotry is a lot more complicated than just hate. In the video for You Need to Calm Down is just so emblematic of this misconception. Taylor takes the subject of homophobia and turns it into yet another song about haters. But in the real world, backwoods hillbillies stomping around with misspelled signs are not really the problem. The most dangerous bigots are highly sophisticated and powerful people. And yeah, there are still blatant homophobes who say it's an abomination, these perverts are spreading AIDS, they're destroying the family, they're recruiting children. But these days, it's much more common to hear, "Of course, I love gay people. Some of my best friends struggle with same-sex attraction." But it's not homophobic to not want LGBT ideology promoted in schools to children as young as 3 years old. Why, it's a full-on assault on religious liberty. I make a convincing homophobe, don't I? There's really two different styles of bigotry. They express the same prejudice, but they're very different in tone. I'll call the two styles direct bigotry and indirect bigotry. Direct bigotry is openly contemptuous. It's a bigotry manifested in slurs and outright discrimination and demonizing the target group, and calls for shunning, subordination, or even violence. Whereas indirect bigotry manifests as concern or debate about a host of proxy issues. It's often defensive in tone rather than offensive. Frequently the claim is that a once needed liberation movement has now gone too far, that it's now the activists who are the new oppressors, who are disturbing law and order with violent and chaotic protests, who are victimizing and silencing innocent people by calling them bigots, who are infiltrating the media and replacing good old-fashioned entertainment with politically correct propaganda. And of course, ordinary people are too intimidated to speak out against it because cancel culture is out of control and free speech is under attack. The direct bigot is always frothing at the mouth, ranting and raving about predators, perverts, invaders, rapists, brutish animals, vermin, rats, roaches, contagions. Whereas the indirect bigot is always defending something, always a knight in shining armor, defending women, defending the children, defending marriage, defending freedom, defending the family, defending our values, defending common sense, defending tradition, defending civilization itself, defending God. He's all powerful, but he could really use your help, Mary.